What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Jordy, and welcome back to F1 25 driver career mode for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix in season 2. And if you missed last episode at the Bahrain Grand Prix, what a result it was for us. We got a little bit lucky with the safety car, and Oscar Piastri once again DNFing. What a shame, honestly. Let's look at season 1. How many DNFs did this man have last season? He had 4 DNFs in one season and ended up finishing about 90 points behind Lando Norris as a result. And once again, that form continues even into new regulations. But the big surprise is we actually lead the Constructors' Championship. So, obviously, Alonso got P8. But looking at Mercedes, I honestly thought they would have been leading the Constructors. Either way, the fact that they're up here is a huge surprise to begin with. Red Bull have fallen all the way down to P5. Ferrari, Leclerc got unlucky with the safety car. Verstappen caused that safety car. So, Ferrari just absolutely fell off towards the end of the race. Unlucky from them. Not a good start for Verstappen at Ferrari. So it's going to be really interesting to see how he bounces back from that and how everybody means to go on going into Jeddah. Who amongst us can actually continue the good form? Who can bounce back? We are about to find out. So again, we had some interesting stories last time out. And of course, the second round is usually a little bit more important than the first round, I think, because that's when you start to see who is going to begin to be consistent going from the first race. Because, you know, it could have been a fluke. Like ourselves, our victory, our big result could have been a fluke. So Jeddah, the second round, is all about proving that it wasn't a fluke. Obviously, the powertrain only regulations, I've basically tried to replicate the 2026 regulations, or at least how people think the cars are going to feel. So they feel like the cars are going to be too quick on the straights and too slow in the corners. So that's it. That sounds a lot more like powertrain to me. Obviously, we don't have too many R&D points. We actually have enough to get the next upgrade that we wanted. So that is the intercooler, and that will be arriving just after Jeddah. I think a lot of these will be arriving just after Jeddah. So Imola is going to be very, very interesting when the first upgrades come through. That is for sure. We are in the bottom 3 in terms of powertrain, but we do keep up in other areas. Look at how good Ferrari are, though. That really explains why Leclerc was able to keep up with me, even when I had DRS. You know that moment when we were both side by side. Honestly, it's pretty terrifying how good that Ferrari car is, and it's such a shame. Honestly, I guess Verstappen did get pole position in qualifying, but Leclerc wasn't up there. So now that we're at Jeddah, which is very powertrain centric, very, top speed centric, we're going to see Ferrari start to get some big results. Williams and VCarb are teams to watch out for as well as Haas. And I guess we can watch out for Red Bull as well, see where they end up. That is for sure. But McLaren seem to be the most well-rounded car. Of course, how these, powertrain, durability, aerodynamic only, chassis only, how they work. Basically, it resets all of the other R&D to their defaults, and only powertrain can be upgraded. So, McLaren were the best team at the beginning of the game, just like they are in real life, and so they are the best team at the beginning of the season overall. But of course, as powertrains get upgraded, perhaps things change. Of course, seeing how some rounds go, I might end up removing the R&D scenario, meaning we can upgrade other stuff, which I feel like I will definitely do. But yeah, I also did an update to the driver helmet, made the green a little bit brighter, tried to get it a little bit closer to the Aston Martin racing green. It is actually a lot more difficult than it looks to actually get anywhere near that, but I feel like that is the case. I also didn't notice that I actually did keep the purple. You can see it just a little bit. It's a little bit more noticeable towards the side and the back of the helmet if you saw the victory celebration last episode. So it is definitely still there, just very, very faint, and I think it works really, really well. But without further ado, let's have a look what the specialists are wanting. Goals available. I'll just go for the easiest ones. I usually forget about these, to be honest. We'll go with this one. another interesting thing last episode was that Alonso out-qualified us, so that will be... It'll be interesting to see if he's able to pull that off again around Jeddah. We'll do that one as well. Okay, so without further ado, let's head down to the Jeddah Corniche circuit to begin the race weekend in Saudi Arabia. It's going to be really interesting. Again, like I said, who is going to be able to start or continue as they did in round one, who's going to be bouncing back, who's going to prove to be consistent throughout this entire season. There is only 16 rounds after all, so this season will come and go a lot quicker than the first one did, that is for sure. But looking at the weather forecast for this weekend, yeah, seems to be a typical Jeddah weekend. 3 practice sessions, a qualifying and a race. We have nothing to worry about. Let's have a look at progress history, see if there's anybody who's brought in upgrades into Jeddah. Nobody except from Ferrari. Ferrari have brought some upgrades, so they're going to be closer to McLaren this weekend. If we look a bit closer, I think Red Bull and Mercedes have also brought in some minor upgrades. I think Ferrari brought in a major one. So that's going to be interesting to see as we follow the developments. But we're a lot closer to Williams and Mercedes, I'm pretty sure. Or are we a lot lower than Mercedes? I think we are a lot lower. So we definitely got some upgrading to do, that's for sure. But we are midfield pack. It is really close, though. Like, this is really zoomed in. So we are able to fight a lot more than, say, Season 1 would have been around this midfield. So again, it's going to be really interesting to see who is going to get a big result this weekend. But yeah, we'll see how we'll see where we are in about like 6 rounds time, or around round 6, I should say, just to see whether or not I remove the R&D scenario. I probably will, because I feel like we'll reach a ceiling very quickly, so it will be worth it to remove it, just to see, just to cause a bit of chaos in the R&D scene. Either way, it's time to get into qualifying for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. And qualifying is what I would have liked to show you, but unfortunately I messed up and I don't have the footage for it. So we're going to have to skip straight to the Grand Prix. Sorry about that, but at least you'll see the results on the grid.
We've got fast sweeping corners under the lights and 20 racers all ready to write their name into the quickly growing history of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. So let's take a look at the topographical map of the Jeddah Street Circuit. As you can see, a number of challenging corners for the drivers to master here. We'll see just how much the teams have benefited from their time spent in practice this weekend. And like many street circuits, this track has the potential to punish drivers that get it wrong. Let's hope we avoid any safety cars today. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole, and Lando Norris lines up alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Russell, Albon, Pierre Gasly, and Fernando Alonso. Verstappen, the rookie, Behrman, and Carlos Sainz. Tsunoda, Ocon, Oscar Piastri, and Colapinto. Hadjar, Hulkenberg, Jack Doohan, and Gabriel Bortoleto. Stroll and Andrea Kimi Antonelli rounds off the grid. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race. And alongside me in the commentary box today, a man who I always look up to, which is easier said than done, Anthony Davidson. I know what we've got to do before the start of today's race, but what about our driver? What do the final hours look like for them?
Well, for them, you've got your pre-race rituals that you go through. You see different drivers that, some have got their headphones on, they're listening to the music. Some drivers really absorb the energy from the crowd and they're there waving to them. Other drivers, they go within themselves. They chat to their engineers, absorbing that information, that vital information that you need to carry you through the race. And, those pre-race rituals are essential to making things systematic. We do a lot of Grand Prix in a season, and the more systematic you can be, the easier you are within that environment.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
Well, here we are at the strategy screen, and unfortunately our form from qualifying in round 1 continues into round 2. Not only are we once again in the bottom half of the top 10, we have also once again been out-qualified by Fernando Alonso, which I think is a nice change. Name one season since F123 that we've done where we have been out-qualified by our teammate in any sort of consistent manner. I kind of like it, but we also need to start knuckling down and get better results. A really good qualifying position for Oliver Behrman in the Haas. He'll be starting on the soft, so hopefully he gets a good start. Max Verstappen in the Ferrari, not the greatest start. Charles Leclerc will be starting on pole. A really good position for Albon in the Williams, as well as Gasly in the Alpine, who is in P5. Hopefully our teammate Fernando gets a good start, and hopefully we can get a good start and get past Verstappen as quickly as possible, because otherwise we're not going to be able to catch up to Verstappen anytime soon, and that's one less position to gain, perhaps, judging by the pace for Bahrain. Of course, in Bahrain we did manage to win there, but we were clearly not the best car. It was a very lucky safety car that we did get. And, you know, assuming that we don't get any such luck in this Grand Prix, we might be getting a bit exposed here, going from the win to wherever we should be in terms of the grid. But here we go. Waiting for the 5 red lights as Leclerc will be leading us away from Lando Norris, followed by George Russell, who moves to cut off Alex Albon. A pretty good start from him. Gasly, not the greatest start at all. Sainz, great start from him. We've moved up into P6. Sainz has moved past Oliver Behrman. Not Oliver Behrman, has moved past Max Verstappen. Oliver Behrman's moved down to P10. So a really good start from the Williams of Sainz, who is side by side with Verstappen. He's managed to stay in front of him. So Williams look to have a pretty good car for Jeddah, which does make sense considering their powertrain and how far they are up the grid in terms of R&D. We have managed to retain our position behind Fernando Alonso, who has gained a position past Gasly, which we have done as well as getting past Verstappen. So we're settled behind our teammate, which is exactly what the team would want right now. Let's hope that Fernando can keep up with the top 4, even though it does look as though there is a gap already starting to form. Again, I don't know how good the Mercedes and the Williams are going to be. You know, round 1 is never really a good indicator. It's a good clue, perhaps, to see where all the cars are at, but we don't see it. We don't see any sort of consistency until round 2. So this is where we're really going to see which cars are the greatest. And Lando Norris doesn't surprise me. He's all the way up there. Piastri all the way down in the bottom half of the grid. Leclerc leads the race, just under half a second ahead of Norris as we look to defend against Pierre Gasly. Jeddah, of course, is going to have the issue of the AI acceleration. Not as bad as Qatar, as there are a lot more technical corners to Jeddah as there are around Qatar, so it's not going to be that much of a disaster, and the difficulty has stayed the same. I've not had to change it like I feel I should have for Qatar, which I did actually in the Grand Prix of Qatar compared to the sprint. But this is Jeddah. This is also a new season, and Alonso doesn't seem to be making any progress out there in P5. In fact, we are 3 seconds behind the top 4. So I think it's high time for a driver swap, and the team feel the same way, as Alonso is going to peel off towards the left and brake a lot earlier, letting us past. And we're going to take P5 just to see what we can do. So it's nice to see that the team seems to be harmonious right now. There doesn't seem to be any team orders telling me to let Fernando past. He is clearly the #1 driver in terms of the recognition system, so he'll be choosing most of the upgrades, as he should. He is the veteran after all, and the guy who's been in the team the longest. But it's nice to see that the team is taking sort of a 50-50 route at the beginning of this season, and already we're making some really good progress. A purple sector 1 on that particular lap, and by the time we get towards the end of lap 4, we've managed to gap Fernando Alonso. In fact, not only gap him, he is completely falling off a cliff, apparently. He is not in P6, nor is he in P7. In fact, he might even be in P9. So Fernando has fallen off a cliff quite a bit, as we have actually managed to get within DRS range of the Mercedes of George Russell. So let's see if we can get this pass done, because we've got Alex Albon in the Williams up the road, ripe for the taking. Lando Norris in the meantime, is actually nearly 2 seconds behind Leclerc. So really good progress, really good speed and pace being shown by Leclerc in that Ferrari. Just still waiting for Verstappen to get a hang on things. Of course, Verstappen is new to the team, so growing pains are to be expected. But now our next target is Alex Albon in the Williams, seemingly all alone in P3, obviously not quick enough to keep up with Lando in the McLaren, but despite how good the McLaren is this season, it's a Ferrari out in front, 2 seconds ahead, and I really like the gaps between teammates. You know, Antonelli all the way down in P20, really not good for him. Verstappen and Leclerc, they're quite far from each other. Norris and Piastri have been quite far from each other. Norris had a nightmare qualifying in Bahrain, and looks like Piastri had a nightmare qualifying here in Jeddah. It seems the only team that has been sort of consistently close together in qualifying is me and Fernando, which is a really, really good sign for the Constructors' Championship. And speaking of Albon being lonely up ahead, he ended up pitting, and we've had a lonely race up in P3. Pretty much no one near us other than Verstappen, who has finally woken up that Ferrari and is catching up to us at a rate of not to the point I don't think I'm really going to fight him on this straight. We know for a fact that the tyre wear for the AI is definitely a lot better than the players, so honestly, there's really no point fighting it if he's got that much pace. I feel like staying behind him and hopefully staying within DRS will be a better idea for us. But unfortunately, we are not able to keep up with Max. As you can tell, he is nearly a second ahead. And I mean, look at the tyre wear, 72 and 75% on the right-hand side of the car. So we're certainly pitting on this lap. It is possible to go another one, but if you guys remember season 1, punctures it is puncture territory from 80% to 100%. So there's really not much we can do. We have to pit on this lap. But all things considered, this first stint on these mediums have been absolutely incredible, and I'm really glad that seemingly we can go for the one stop. If you guys remember last season in the V-Carb, a lot of races we had to go for a 2-stop and ended up on a tyre offset against the AI, for better or worse. But it seemingly, or clearly I mean, the Aston Martin is a much better car on the chassis side of things, but we still need to catch up in other areas as we now come into the pits ready to go onto a set of hard tyres. I feel like I'm going to be able to push these tyres to their limits till the end of the race. Hards are always very comfy, and it's a very good pit stop by the team. Fortunately, we had a tough time last time out, so it's a good thing that we haven't had a tough time this time as we now look to come out. We're going to be coming out into a gaggle of cars as we come around the corner, and Alex Albon smashes into us, causing a little bit of wing damage. What was Alex Albon doing there? I don't know what the damage is going to be. As you can tell, it's a little bit less screen on the screen, so luckily it doesn't seem to be that much damage, but who knows how much it could be when tyre wear comes into play later on in the race. Of course, Albon is also on those mediums, so he's going to have much better tyre wear anyway, and it looks like he's going to be making the pass here as well. I don't know if he has any side pod damage from that collision, but what on earth was Albon doing there? Maybe he was too wide going into that corner. Maybe Hadjar was there, but Hadjar is really far away right now, so nearly 4 seconds behind. So surely Albon had no excuse for that collision right there. I'm surprised he didn't get a penalty because he caused damage for us, definitely, and clearly didn't give us enough room exiting the pits. I have no idea what happened there, but we seemingly have some good pace. Surely Albon actually received some side pod damage because he is not keeping up with us very well at all through these corners. In fact, we seem to be gaining time despite the tyre advantage that Alex has. Verstappen has managed to get further and further out ahead of us, 5 seconds out ahead, as we now look at the replay just to see what happened from Albon's point of view. And yeah, there's no reason to be going that wide when you know a car is coming out of the pits. He definitely saw us. I mean, if you look at his helmet as well, he was looking right at us. He just decided not to turn fully, and we took a collision because of that. I genuinely think in real life that would have been a penalty, causing a collision right there, but it wouldn't matter anyway. We seem to have already gapped Albon. I think he is out of DRS range. Yes, he is, as we are gaining time on this main straight. I'm doing pretty good for ERS saving on this race as well. That's something I've really worked hard to improve throughout the life cycle of this game, as Fernando now enters the pits. A really, really late pit stop. I don't know what's going on with Fernando's race pace compared to his qualifying pace. He is consistently out qualifying us 2 races into this season, but the race pace is just not there. I have no idea what's going on with him, but we've got to focus on ourselves, as we are losing more and more time to Verstappen, so it looks as though we're going to be fighting for P4, or not fighting at all according to this, as we're now on lap 19, P4, 10 seconds ahead of P5, George Russell in the Mercedes, and 8.4 seconds behind the Ferrari and Max Verstappen, who is getting closer and closer towards Lando Norris, who is 7.4 seconds behind Charles Leclerc. Insane pace from the Ferraris today compared to every other team. I think it's only a matter of time before Verstappen manages to overtake Norris. In fact, I think they might be swapping positions, because that's the only DRS detection they've got between each other, as we now look on the onboard of Fernando Alonso all the way down in P15 after where he started is just absolutely abysmal. But he does manage to get past Doohan as he spins out. Oh my god, what is going on with Fernando Alonso in race conditions? And that is a huge blockage. That has got to be surely a safety car. Fernando Alonso falling from P5, P6 where he started, all the way down to P20. Absolutely shocking scenes, as there has been a safety car called. So just as if the results for the top 6 especially seem to have been set in stone, looks like there's a bit of chaos in the last 5 laps of this Grand Prix. We're going to be pitting for softs, and this, at the time, I had no idea who had actually crashed. I could have gone on the replays to see, but I was so excited for a safety car after what had become such a dull race. And I prefer a dull race around Jeddah because, you know, it gets pretty intense around here, especially with the AI advantages that they do have, which isn't as bad around Jeddah as I thought it would be. Definitely isn't as bad as it was in F124, but there's going to be a lot of controversy if we do end up getting into a race-winning position. We're going to be pitting so late here. At maximum, we're only going to be losing 2 positions, and it's going to be worn hards against fresh softs. So we have a really good opportunity to once again, like Bahrain, or even more so than Bahrain, just take a win due to safety car conditions. And it's going to be even easier because instead of being on the same tyres as everybody else as we were in Bahrain, we're going to have a huge advantage on these tyres. So everybody watching right now, you know, in the F1 world is going to be livid. They are going to think it's some sort of scandal, even though clearly it was just Alonso having a really bad day, but it does look really bad. And everybody knows now that we're going to be fighting for this win. All eyes are on us as we are on these fresh, soft tyres versus worn hards. This is a huge opportunity for us. The safety car is in this lap. We are ready to go racing again. Overtake is on, primed and ready, as we are now resuming racing, crossing the line and overtaking Piastri virtually straight away. Piastri is going to fight as hard as he can to keep the position, but we've got so much more grip, such a better exit against the AI now, which is such a nice change compared to how it is usually. And we've managed to catch Russell napping there, but even then I think we would have had a much better exit compared to him anyway. So we are already up into P3 from P5. You might notice Leclerc is not in the race anymore, just like Piastri in Bahrain. The race leader, who had a dominating lead throughout the race, ends up having an engine failure. after the safety car, or actually Leclerc had it during the safety car, so he would not have made it to the end of the race anyway. Luckily, Ferrari still have Verstappen there fighting for the win, as we are now up into P2, looking to overtake Lando Norris. I'm not going to act too hyped about it neither, because clearly we are going to make this overtake. It is just a matter of when, and not a matter of if, as we are just over a tenth behind Norris, practically pushing him through these corners as we are now. There is no DRS at all, so that's the only reason why Norris is still ahead right now, but we're still catching up. I'm burning a lot of ERS as we dive down the inside, overtaking Lando Norris. We could have waited for the DRS zone, but I feel like we could have this position done straight away. And even with the slipstream, there is no DRS still on this lap, so there's nothing Lando Norris can do about it. And now we've got a lap to extend this lead over the rest of the grid. So, you know, down to safety car luck once more. Looks like we're going to be taking a 2-for-2 victory here in Jeddah. So really, it's just a matter of when our luck runs out. Imola will be the next Grand Prix, so hopefully there's no safety car shenanigans there, as we see Max Verstappen in the Ferrari take P2. So it's a nice consolation, but yeah, if it wasn't for the safety car, it absolutely would have been a 1-2 for Ferrari. There's no doubt in my mind about that, as Russell fights to keep P5 ahead of Pierre Gasly. Yeah, multiple cars are going to be struggling this time. Really, really impressive to see Kimi Antonelli in P9, considering he started dead last. So he managed to take advantage of the safety car there. Alonso managed to get past Jack Doohan. Jack Doohan 13 seconds behind Alonso. I wonder what happened there, but Alonso, a race to forget for him. But yeah, story of the day will be this safety car controversy, as we have managed to take a win directly because of it. I'm not going to be too fussed. It will be investigated by the FIA, but they're going to find no signs of any wrongdoing. I had no idea that Alonso had spun out. I just took advantage of the safety car that had pretty much landed on my lap the same way it did in round one. Regardless, we are going to be celebrating anyway, but the view from the paddock is going to be one of controversy, as the race winner of today's Saudi Arabian Grand Prix has been tainted by the spinning out and safety car caused by their own teammate. We take the win, but it's pretty much tainted, and regardless, there's nothing we can really do about it.
And that brings the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix to a close, as we reflect on the team's impressive performance today.
And that's 2 wins in a row now, of course, Crofty. And it marks the fact that it's not a fluke. So, you know, their head's in the right space. What more can we see going forwards?
The Aston Martin team will be very happy with today's performance. And of course, the final result. Another display of excellent driving and excellent teamwork. And a well-deserved first-place finish.
Controversies aside, this has been a great start to our tenure here at Aston Martin, and a great start to a season of which I'm hoping we can go for the championship. And with 2 out of 2 race victories, this is a great foundation to jump off of, because we never know when the victories will stop. We never know when we'll start having difficulties keeping up with the rest of the grid. I mean, in pure race conditions, safety cars aside, we are clearly not anywhere near as quick as McLaren and Ferrari. We can certainly compete with the other cars, but McLaren and Ferrari clearly the quickest. McLaren, though, dealing with their own issues as well as Ferrari. So it really is a case of who can be consistent enough, and I guess who can be lucky enough, judging from us, as of course we took advantage of safety cars in both races. So Imola is next, one of the more difficult circuits on the calendar, so that will really go to show if luck will end, and that's where the consistency really must begin. And then we've got Monaco not too long after that. But championship wise, we have extended our lead to 17 points at the top of the drivers' standings and 9 points at the top of the constructors. The goal of constructors is not really a goal for me in this driver career mode, but if we can get that, it's just another trophy for the cabinet. So increasing our rating a little bit more as we work towards 82%. The recognition is going a bit higher as well, I'm pretty sure, as we get closer and closer towards Fernando's percentage. And that's the end of this episode of F125 driver career. If you guys liked it, be sure to hit that like button as hard as you possibly can, and I will see you all next time for some more F125. Peace.